So this week's Fullback Friday, as I've said for the past few weeks, I'm totally down to do recommendations if if there are any, and obviously I have to know them to a certain regard, but I know most. I just have to do additional research. But I got a comment, and I'll put it up here, and I just wanted to say that I appreciate it because it was fun. Because obviously I knew things about this fullback, but I didn't know nearly how crazy his career was. And the person I'm talking about is the Patriots fullback James Devlin. Now, his is a more unconventional path, so to speak, because I think he really was like a Patriot through and through. I mean, the way he was, because he was a Pro Bowl fullback, and he was a special teamer, and he was great as a special teamer. And he really just was like this I'll do whatever you need type of guy. That, I mean, if that isn't the Patriots way, I don't know what is. I mean, those guys they're malleable. I mean, when they had Cordell Patterson, they put him at running back, at tight end, at wide receiver. That's what Devlin was. And I mean, they kept him for 7 years, and I think that shows because I mean, the Patriots are notorious for they won't have very few of their players stay there for these long tenured careers outside of the best. So I think that really shows how important he was to the Patriots. The fact is he stayed there for so long, and honestly would have stayed there longer if he didn't have a bad injury and have to retire. He was unconventional, hard-nosed, and he did everything no one else wanted to do better than anyone else, and it was awesome. See, that's not even the best part of his story because I knew more about him on the field, obviously, because, I watch football, but I think his route to the NFL is a crazy one that I'd never really heard about until researching this. So starting off, he went to Brown College, like the Ivy League one. So again, back-to-back weeks, the fullback went to an Ivy League school. Don't think it's coincidence that these smart guys want to play the coolest position in football. But anyways, again, he's stupid smart. I mean, to get into Brown, that's not an easy college to get into. It's Ivy League. And he did it and graduated with a mechanical engineering degree. So, I mean, he didn't have to do football. He had a great career path ahead of him, even if he didn't play football, because, again, graduated Ivy League with a great degree. You don't usually see that in the NFL today a lot. Most of the big guys are, guys who got drafted out. So, again, the fact that he does well in the NFL but has this background it's pretty cool, and it's not, these stereotypical NFL careers. And that comes another thing, is in college you play defensive end. This is probably overall the craziest part because like I've shown a lot of fullbacks, like Juszczyk last week played fullback, or some of them will play running back in college. That's pretty common because again, the positions are pretty similar, but if you're this, top tier talent capable of going to the NFL, usually, your team will put you at whatever position gets you the most usage, and tight end and running back get a lot more usage than fullback. So that's pretty common, but to go from defense to offense isn't as common, and especially two very weird positions. I mean, defensive end is all about finesse on the outside, getting to the passer and things like that. While fullback is like, this, I'm going to do everything that no one wants to do type of thing. I'm blocking. I'm not really getting the ball a lot. I'm getting beat up all the time, and I'm smaller than the O-linemen, so it's not like I'm in a great position to block these guys that are 6'7", 300 pounds, but I'm going to, and that's what he did because, like it's a lot more common for wide receivers to switch to corner, or corners to switch to receiver, or things like that nature, but very weird for a defensive end to go to fullback. I've never heard of that, so again, that just speaks to a testament of, again, I said he's this Patriot player who will do whatever he has to. That's a pretty great example. And Brownie was good, too. He wasn't like this schmuck or anything. He was all second Ivy League his sophomore year, and then he won the Ivy League championship in his junior year, and he was a starter from a freshman year. So all 4 years of college, he was a starter on the team. And he himself said, I love this quote, he said, when he was talking about after college what he wanted to do, and he said he still had dreams of going into the NFL, but he wasn't sure exactly how far those would take him. He said that he wasn't that athletically gifted, he wasn't fast, he wasn't big, and I was kind of a tweener because I played defensive line in college, but I was too small to do that in the NFL. So even he knew like it was going to be a very unconventional path, and he was going to have to work harder than most of these guys do because, again, you're playing at Brown. You don't have the national spotlight. It's a lot harder to make it in the NFL if you aren't on every Saturday on regular TV. He declared for the 2010 draft, didn't get drafted, and despite having his mechanical engineering degree, he still stuck to his roots, and he's like, I want to keep playing football. So he did. He wanted to fulfill fulfill this professional dream of playing football that he had, and he would do that. So he would start, he said that the first tryout he ever got was for the Oklahoma City Dogs, spelled DAWGZ, which is hilarious, I think, and I love that fact. I love the arena team names, but anyways, it was a Facebook message that he got to try out. He played defense for them, and he did all right. It was nothing of note, but then he signed with a United Football League team, the Florida Tuskers, which are now the Virginia Destroyers. And this is where he switched to fullback, and obviously this is where everything starts going right for him. So, again, he'd never played fullback before, but he switched to that position when he goes there, and he started to play good, even though he'd never played it. He said, he literally would just watch the guys in front of him, see how they did it, and then he would do that. And he was watching tape. He was doing everything he could to get better. He just said he wanted to outwork everyone on the team, even though he had no clue what he was doing. And this showed, because despite only playing in these leagues for a few months, he got a contract for the Cincinnati Bengals practice squad just in the same year. He played for the Oklahoma City Dogs, the Florida Tuskers, and the Cincinnati Bengals in the same year, because he just worked so hard that he just kept moving upwards. And also, funny enough, a big part of that is the now Jaguars offensive coordinator, Jay Gruden, was the newly announced offensive coordinator of Cincy, and he liked Devlin so much at the Tuskers that he brought him with him, which I just think is awesome. And again, it just speaks to he was willing to do whatever it took to get to that next level. He was just, out competing guys who'd been playing the position their whole lives. They've been planning to play fullback. So he just never stopped trying to be better at a position he didn't know how to play. In 2012, he was then picked up by the Patriots, and the rest is history. He got cut by Cincy after 2 years of being on and off the practice squad, and then, Patriots kept him for 7 years, so I really think that's Cincy's mistake. And like I said earlier, the definition of a Patriot player, these, sort of unconventional heroes, I think of like him or Matt Slater, an 8-time Pro Bowler at wide receiver, but he's literally a designated special teamer, but Belichick likes him so much that he keeps him on the roster. And again, the whole concept of Belichick's, his team compositions are so smart that, he keeps guys like this because he realizes how important they are, even though, their stats may not be flashy. He realizes the impact they have. You have to game plan for things like this. When they have a fullback, you can run wherever you want. You'll want more freedom than if you're just going to traditionally block, so you have to plan for that. On special teams, Matt Slater, great gunner. You have to plan for him or he will mess up your special teams game. So again, Belichick has really valued these players, and that shows. And he was really good too. There was no part of his game, that he was really the best at. Like, he wasn't this, all top tier rusher. He was really good at blocking, but even then, there was probably not an argument that he wasn't the best, but definitely one of the best. That's inarguable. And he was a big part of their 3 Super Bowls in 2014, 2016, and 2018. And I'll put up a picture. He actually sealed the block on Sony Michel's game-winning run in the 2018 Super Bowl against the Rams. He sets up the B-gap for him, which then he runs through, and obviously they win that Super Bowl. And I'm not saying, that's the biggest play of the game or anything. I'm just saying, again, you guys probably didn't even know his name, yet he's out here making game-winning plays in the Super Bowl, which is just pretty cool. And, I think, honestly, the biggest testament to how good he is just this quote by Bill Belichick. I'm going to put it up on screen, and I'll go over, my favorite parts, is because it just, again, Belichick is the guy who says nothing. But yet, when James Devlin retired, he just couldn't stop saying good things about him, talking about how he's one of the most appreciated and respected players he's ever had. And again, Belichick's been coaching a lot, so that says a lot. And he's just talking about how unselfish he was and how he was this great leader. And it brings up that of the 5 seasons which he appeared in every game, they won 3 championships and went to 4 Super Bowls. So, he's this just do-it-all type of guy that one of the greatest NFL coaches of all time was big part of our success and did everything that you really can't see on a stat sheet, just absolutely perfect. He's awesome. I love James Devlin. I'm not big on the Patriots, obviously, because I'm a Colts fan, but he's just awesome. He was a great fullback and an example of perseverance and just being able to adapt to overcome whatever you're around. And I really think that's that's admirable, and it's a good story nonetheless, because this is a guy who wanted to do something, so he set his mind to it and he did it. So there's my video. Thank you again for the comment suggesting it. I really appreciate that. It was really fun to do research for this because I knew way less than him than any of the others, and getting to learn about him was super cool. Be sure to like, subscribe, and comment. Again, any recommendations I'm totally going to look at and try to do. But yeah, so I will see you guys then in 2 weeks with the next Fullback Fridays. Peace.